Hi guys, I'm gonna give you a short update about the progress of the rebuild of my Honda XLR250R3M. As you can see, I've kind of like entered the final stages now, and what I'm gonna talk to you about in this video is the modification of my tank. Basically putting on a different tank. I'll just zoom in a little bit. As you can see, there is a 21 liter tank on my XLR now, which is not an original. This is a tank that came from a Honda XL250R Paris Dakar from 1982, and what was on my bike, which is an XLR250R from 1990, was a 9 liter tank, and I thought that 9 liters is not enough to keep me satisfied, and I wanted to have a bigger tank. Now I've looked at different options. One option would be to buy a polypropylene tank. I think it's a plastic tank, but I didn't want to have any plastic tank on my bike because plastic tanks are hard to repair. I thought when you're on the road, and an iron tank like this you can solder or you can weld, and it's sturdier. Furthermore, this tank looks better than the plastic tank. They have these tanks which are about 14 liters or 16 liters, don't pin me down on it, and also that's not big enough for me. I wanted to have at least a 20 liter tank, and this tank is 21 liters. It's a bit dented here, so I'll have to remove this dent. Yeah, I'm gonna show you how I did it, and lead you through it step by step. I'm really happy with the results. I'm super satisfied with it. It just looks so awesome. Of course, this tank is gonna be powder coated white, so my bike will just be a white monster. Okay, I'm just gonna talk to you now and set up the video, set up the camera, and hopefully I can show you a little bit about what I've done. This seems like a good spot for the camera. I hate editing, so that's why I'm just shooting these movies in one go, just like a Woody Allen movie. As you can see, as well as that I've put on a different saddle, which is actually my old saddle, my old seat, but I readjusted it, and I'm gonna show you the seat later on. This is the seat pane, but first I'm gonna show you my tank. Time to remove the seat. I already unbolted the screws, so it should be fairly easy to take this off. It is. I'll show you right now. This tank is bolted down in the back with 2 bolts, which is 6 millimeters. Together with the rubbers, I used these rubbers, recycled the rubbers from my old tank. So these are just old recycled rubbers. I'll just loosen those bolts. These are actually the nuts. Now I'll just take out these pieces of iron. Oh, let's see. pop these out just to make it a bit easier for me and myself. That's one, and that's two. Pop them up. Okay, this will do. Now I'll just lift the tank up, take away these iron bits, lift the tank up, and I'll pull it to the back. Then I go straight up. Alright, there we are. Okay, trying to take the camera off the tripod and show you how I connect the tank. First of all, this is the front connection. These are the rubbers that I had from my old tank. They hook into the bottom of the tank. Now, as you can see, there's an iron pin here, which is welded into the frame. Basically what I did is show you the tank. This is my tank. Take off the lid. Now, at the bottom of the tank there are these two curved pieces of iron. I call them clamps, and they clamp around the rubber mount. So what I did was I put the rubbers into these clamps, then took my tank, had it in my hands. I put some cloth over this top tube because the bottom of the tank is kind of wide, so it needs to be supported by something. So I put some cloth on here, and then I put on my tank on the bike, and I had put some tape on the frame here, just some paper tape basically that I can ride on. Then I put the tank on, and basically I looked for the position of the tank as far forward as possible, that it would still be able, I would still be able to turn my wheel, turn my handlebar, and then without the tubes actually touching the tank. So, and then I found like the perfect position in this direction for the tank. Then, since I had my rubbers on, I supported my tank in the back with I think I used a piece of tape for that, a roll of tape, which I just basically made sure that the tank was stable. And then I went to the bottom, and then I saw the rubbers which were situated on the tape, and then with a pen I kind of like outlined where the rubber was located. Then I took off my tank, got my rubber here, and I put it on the frame in the location that it was, and I knew that I had to drill a hole here. So I basically drilled a hole here, which is a 6mm hole, a bit bigger, perhaps 6.2 or 6.4, and I drilled it on this side, and basically I drilled straight through, and then hoped that the pin would be kind of like straight. Now yeah, it wasn't completely straight, so on the other side I basically had to, the other side here, I basically had to open up the hole a bit more in order to put my pin straight. And this was, at first I used a stainless steel pin, but since it's really difficult to weld stainless steel, I used an iron pin later on, 6mm iron rod. And then I jammed the rod in, it was completely straight, and I secured it with some piece of aluminium, and I spot welded it into the frame with my MIG welder that I just bought the other day. and then afterwards I put some kneaded on it, which is kind of like yeah, a mixture. It looks like gum, but it gets as hard as iron, they say. They call it kneaded. And then afterwards I put some electrical tape around the pin, because this hole is a bit bigger than 6 millimeters. And now yeah, I just slid the rubber over the electrical tape. So this side was done, and also on the other side, yeah, same deal. Basically, I spot welded the pin into place, and then I put some kneaded around it, around the bottom, just to make sure it's all tight. It's not really needed, but I used it so it wouldn't rust, basically, because of course I damaged the paint underneath here. It's all powder coated and I damaged that, so I wanted to make sure that it wouldn't rust, so I put some kneaded on it, and then I put some electrical wiring around the electrical tape around the pin, the rod, and I put my rubber on. So that was the front part. Then I had to make sure that yeah, that cloth would be replaced by something more decent. So I found yeah, this rubber. This is put on in 2 layers. It's 2 layers of, I think, 1 centimeter thick rubber. And yeah, I just held it down with, tied it down with tie rips. And yeah, I think it's about 18 centimeters long, 17, 18 centimeters long. So then I could basically put the tank on, and it would sit in place on this rubber, and it will be supported by the front brackets. Now for the rear brackets, I had to come up with something, because originally there was a loop here, which held my iron loop, which held my old tank, but I had to come up with something new. So first I had a look at the tank itself that I wanted to put on. Now this is the rear part. Originally, I'll show you the part as well, because I still have that. Originally this tank was held down with this rubber. So basically this rubber would slide into this hole, this part, slide into this hole, and on the other side there was just like a little support pad, I would call it. But basically the tank was only held down with one bolt, it seemed. But I wanted to have like a secure and firm yeah, connection. So I decided to drill a second hole, which is pretty big. So the way I did it was this is the second hole that I drilled. Basically what I did was I drilled a few holes in the middle, like a circular movement, and then I punched out the piece of iron that was loose, and then with the file I just made sure that this was a nice and tidy hole, and I could put in this support rubber that I took off my old tank. So then I had 2 holes. The only thing is, this original hole is thick. They welded like a piece of iron on it on the back, so this rubber would be nice and snug inside the hole. But here there was no piece of iron, so I actually had to yeah, grind a square piece of iron and put a hole in that as well, and then I spot welded that into place and I put the rubber in. So now I had like 2 holes of exactly the same yeah, the same size, and my rubber's in there, so this was all nice. Then what I did was I cut out a piece of iron, like a square piece of iron like this, and I put it basically on here. I clamped it with some pliers, and then I drilled 2 holes in it, and I put bolts through these holes and through the slab of iron. So then I had something to work with. That iron would become my stand, my bracket in the back. And now that's what I did. Then I put the tank back onto the bike, and then that iron I basically shaped and molded into this part here. Yeah, there's a curve here, So this curve I had to put in. I just used my vise, clamped it into my vise, and then slammed this side so as to make a nice curve. Yeah, I decided to use as little metal as I could, just to keep it nice and tight, nice and clean. And then, now of course I figured out what the right position was of the tank, like looking at the left and the right side. And then when I found a nice position, I spot welded it from the bottom, spot welded it to the frame. Of course I first sanded this piece of frame so the paint was all gone, so the weld would be good. I spot welded it, and then I took off my tank, and then I spot welded it all around this bracket, like and then finally I topped it off with some kneaded, and yeah, just made sure it looked all good. Of course I used my iron brush first to get off all the slugs, and I'm using a gasless MIG welder now, which has got a electroflux core, and no, that seemed to work pretty fine. So I made sure that the weld was nice. I dressed it up, and then I covered it with kneaded, and I'm gonna be clear lacquering this. So yeah, that's basically what we have then. A tank, and yeah, as I showed you before, it fits pretty snug. It's beautiful. I'll put it on once more. Oh, camera in the mount, and then I'll show you how to put on my tank, where I put on my tank. Sorry for my English, it's just not very good today. So it slides on like this, then I basically put these irons back in, put them in the holes, and then I bolt it. Now the second thing I had to do was to make a seat. What I had was my old seat, but it was way too long before this tank is larger. I couldn't slide my old seat back into its old position. It was about 15 centimeters too long, so I decided to go cheapo and cut my old seat up and make it fit. I've heard that you can, well, some people have tried at least to do this project and then use a seat from the original Honda XL250R Paris Dakar, but it doesn't fit. So yeah, I thought, like, oh well, I have my old seat pane, so I'm just going to use that. So basically what I did is, this is the seat pane. What I did is I cut a piece from the middle, which is about 10-15 centimeters long, and then I combined these two seat pieces. I made some brackets of 4mm aluminium, and I riveted them onto my riveted the two halves together basically. Now this part is very small and this part is really wide, so in order to compensate for that, I also riveted some tubing, some rubber tubing, 2 layers on to the small half of the seat. So basically it's about the same thickness now. I might just add another layer, so as to make sure that this is completely smooth. So when I'm gonna like cover the seat, that there's no indentation. Also, the seat here in front is supported by this rail here. Now this rail that was the support that was resting on this rail, that was on the middle part that I cut out. So basically I took only that part, that part that rests on the rail. I took that from the middle part, basically cut it off the middle part, and I riveted here onto this front part. So only this part here, it's like probably the leg or the butt of the middle part of the seat. I just riveted that to this front part, and yeah, that all looks pretty good, I think. Now the final problem to tackle was to lock it in place. As you can see, there's a little bracket here that just is used to put the seat into with a clamp. The old bracket, that was the loop that I was talking about. Here in the bottom there was like a loop that you had to slide like a little nipple in from the seat. Oh, it's still here. This thing. This was for the old connection, but now I had to make a new lock, basically, to lock the seat in place. And yeah, I did that of aluminium. Same 4mm aluminium that I've been using for so many parts of this bike now. This is the bracket that I put up front, and yeah, it's really quite small. I started off with the big bracket. I thought, like, if you start off with a big bracket, you can always take some material off. But if you start off with a small bracket and you don't have enough material, then well, you got to start all over again. So yeah, this basically locks underneath the bracket here in front, and then you just push the seat down, cock, and then you slide it in, and then it's done. So that is my my project that I've been busy with for the last 2 weeks, I think. Yeah, and now we're at it. We can also have a good look at this aluminium box that I made. This is where the old airbox used to be located. I took out the old airbox because I'm using a K&N filter now, so I had no more need for the old airbox. And I made this aluminium box, yeah, which is basically like a slab of metal with a curve in it, and then a little shallow box which I riveted onto the slab of metal with some rivets here. And on the bottom here I made a bracket that would hold my mudguard. So yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. I also clear lacquered it with my KVS diamond finish clear coat, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with the result. Also, I rerouted my my indicator wires, because my indicator wires were originally located underneath the fender here, and yeah, that was just a hassle. Every time I had to do something with these wires, I had to like cut all the tire wraps, and then yeah, so I decided to put the wires on top of my my rear fender. Also keep it safe from mud and stones and everything, mostly stones that might wreck the wire. And just at the last possible point, the wire goes back in and then is rerouted to its the box here. And I made a little slit here in this box that would take the wire, and also on the other side there's a little, see if you can get it close. Yeah, it's like a little cut that I made here. So yeah, then basically what I have now is a 21 liter gas tank, plus a cool seat, hopefully. I'll still have to make the seat. I have to put on the foam and then put on the seat cover. Make that myself. For the tank, what is left to do is, well, there's a lid here, but it doesn't have a key. It's just a keyless lid. I have that over here. This is the original tank lid, but it doesn't have a key, so I'd like to have a lid with a key. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my old tank lid, which does have a key, and I'm going to make that fit into this tank. This is my tank lid from my 9 liter original tank, and yeah, it's a bit smaller, as you can see, than the XL250R Paris Dakar tank lid. But now I'll see if I can make this work. I've read on the internet from a Japanese guy that he actually did it. He made this fit into this tank. So I'm gonna give it a try. Probably have to take the whole bunch apart and then make one lid out of two. I don't know. And there's another thing which I'd like to do, apart from removing this dent. This dent was here, so I gotta take this dent out. I'm thinking about either using a stud welder, which is the professional way to do it, but then I'd have to buy a stud welder and I don't have the money for that. So I might just use the old slide hammer technique, drill in a hole and then just use my slide hammer to get the hole out and then later fill it all up. Apart from that, I also want to have like a second petcock, because my tank here on that side there's a petcock, but on this side there is no petcock. So that means that the gasoline that is in this lobe of the tank, as you would call it, is unused. And people say like, oh yeah, but in case you run out of gas, you can always put like the bike on its side and then just make sure that the gas in this lobe just runs into the other side, and then you can still ride again for a couple of kilometers. But yeah, if you got a fully packed bike with 80 kilograms of gear on it, and you're riding in a desert, for instance, you don't want to put it on the side. So basically I want to install an extra petcock in here, which is probably, hopefully, just drill a hole and then put in the petcock and then put a little clamp on top, a bracket, and then 2 self-tapping iron screws. I can secure that petcock and make sure it doesn't leak. So petcock, dent, lid. And then finally I'm gonna sandblast the whole tank, or have it sandblasted, and I'm gonna have it powder coated again, so it wouldn't clash with the rest of my bike, which is all white. And yeah, now for my seat, this is the seat as I have it right now. I'm gonna put some foam on, probably just like in this line, so it's basically completely straight. I don't want to have like any indentation or so, but I just want to have it completely straight. So I'm gonna buy some really good seat foam and cut it yeah, in the right shape with an automatic bread knife or something. And then I'm gonna try and cover the seat with some vinyl, or yeah, hopefully some rough material for off-road use. And lastly, I would like to have a sheep skin on my sheet, or some other animal fur, just to make it look cool. And that's it. Now, hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I'll keep you updated about my next repairs. Bye bye.